How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And before we get started, we know that Mullen was up 8.66%, posting up a green day. But I want to let you guys know I ended up bringing out a cheat sheet to help you guys bring your option game to the next level. We focus on options a lot inside of the Discord, but you know what? I know I get a lot of questions saying, Dre, how do you trade options? How do you get better at it? Where do you start? So again, check out the first link in the description and as well as in the first comment. That cheat sheet will give you a head start in your option game and you should be able to see some success. Now let's talk about how the stock performed. So being up at 8.66%, there is a lot of momentum coming into the play due to the catalyst. It was added in the Russell 2000 and as well as into the 3000 index. I'll talk about why this is important. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch its full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is a technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the recent short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for Mullen. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $1.38, being up 8.66%. On the low, it tested $1.35, and then on the high, testing $1.54. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 118.889 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 100.523 million shares. So we had above average volume on the day, and it's part of the reasons why we saw some strength in the stock. When we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it's at 54.02. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day. We're also below the 50-day, but we are above the 21-day EMA, and this is definitely a bullish sign for Mullen. It has been able to form higher lows and higher highs for the past 3 trading days. So it ended up seeing a high at $1.54. So going into tomorrow, if we have continued momentum, you want Mullen to get above the 50-day moving average, which is right around $1.63. If it can break above this level, that's where we want to see how Mullen fares when it's in the mid $1.70 range, because if it can break above this level, that's where we can get that possible test going to $2. We also do know $2 is a psychological area for this play as well. So what does that mean? There could be a lot of selling pressure if Mullen tries to break this level, and of course this would bring in a pullback. But one thing you want to pay attention to, if we decide to consolidate for tomorrow, then as long as it stays above the 21-day EMA, it's going to continue to look strong, which is at $1.23. The moment it breaks through this level, we know there's a gap that needs to be filled to the downside. I've already spoken about this, and as far as filling in that gap, it's around $1.03, and you want to look for a level to break below $1.17. So now let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent short interest information from Mullen. So the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 57.19%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 35.04 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 200,000, updated 24 minutes ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 5.66%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume, we can see for the close of the second, it is at 54.32. And then for the close of the third, being at 57.19. So it has creeped up a bit. So overall, from what we could see, the short interest percentage of the float, it is at 11.62%. The criteria that we normally look for is 14% or higher. So Mullen does not fit that criteria, but it's still a play you want to keep on watch. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for Mullen. So we see on the inflow, it's at 32.31 million, and then on the outflow, it's at 33.25 million. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 1.09 million. On the medium, it was 19.23 million, and then on the small, it was 11.99 million. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 1.64 million. On the medium, it was 20.39 million, and then on the small, it was 11.22 million. So overall, it was an outflow day. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for today, June the 6th, we had that outflow negative 0.55 million, and for the 3rd, which was last week Friday, we had an outflow of 0.66 million. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, you can see that we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then for the large, represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 36.05%. No surprises there. We know that Mullen is a volatile stock, but it did see a lot of trading volume due to the news of being added in the Russell 2000 and as well as in the 3000. I'm going to talk about how this impacts the stock inside of the final thoughts, so let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for Mullen, when it comes to the price action, what you want to keep an eye on is a 21-day EMA, and currently for the stock, that is at $1.23. As long as we continue to have price action above this level, Mullen will continue to look strong. The reason why it wouldn't look strong if it has price action below that level, we know there's a gap to the downside that needs to be filled right around $1.03. And before it actually gets there, it needs to break through $1.17. So please add that to your homework so you know what it looks like in regards to the downside. As far as for the upside for the play, it ended up seeing a high at $1.54. And what I want to see from Mullen is being able to get to the 50-day moving average, which is around $1.63. If it can do this, that's where I want to look for that move going into the mid $1.70 range. And then I want to see if it can get to the psychological area at $2. Again, this is a very big ask in a volatile market that we have. And I feel that it would have to have a really strong catalyst for it to actually break to $2 because there would be a good amount of selling pressure. So now you guys know what it looks like to the upside and as well as for the downside. We also can't ignore the fact that the low of the day was at 135. So we want to see a continuation of 135 holding, and of course the 21-day EMA being that backup support that you just want to see if you're bullish on the play. I want to make sure I'm being completely neutral and giving you guys these levels. I'm not going to be naive and just tell you, well, you know what, this stock is just going to go straight to the moon. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information, we do see the short interest percentage of the float is creeping up, and we also see that the short volume is increasing as well. But as far as the criteria that I look for plays with short squeeze potential is usually 14% or higher for the short interest percentage of the float. And considering that Mullen is below this level, we just need a lot more volume to come into the play, bring in that buying pressure so we can get a strong move up. Like I said, Mullen did very well considering that it was almost up 9% on the day. But do know we have a volatile week. We have CPI numbers that are going to be coming out. We also have the quad witching for next week, and we also do have a Fed meeting. So that's why I want to make sure that you guys are prepared for any scenario that the market may throw at you. And I almost forgot, the reason why it's great news that Mullen was added in the Russell 2000 and as well as in the 3000, institutions and funds are going to be forced to actually purchase shares if they're following the index. So this will be great for investors and as well as for traders that want to play off that momentum as well. And I also want to remind you guys again, please check out the 5 strategies to trade options like a pro. The link will be down in the first comment and as well as in the description. If you want to take your option game to the next level, then this cheat sheet is for you. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I can't wait to see how Mullen performs going into tomorrow. We'll talk soon.